A music store sold a total of 125 car stereo systems and speakers in 1 week. The stereo system sold for $104.95, and the speakers sold for $18.95. The sales from these two items totaled $6,926.75. How many of each item were sold? So this is a classic systems of equations problem where you have to figure out how many of two different items you have. And we're given a table which makes writing the equations very simple. We're told that there were a total of 125 items sold. So the number of stereo systems plus speakers, which we're using the variables C and T here. C and T is 125. Apparently, stereo systems is our C variable, and the speakers are our T variable, and we can tell because the next equation is 104.95C, and since the stereo systems were 104.95 each, that means C is the stereo systems, and then the speakers were 18.95 each, 18.95T, and the total that we made was $6,926.75. So there's our two equations. So substitution seems like the best way to solve these just because this first equation that we have here, C plus T equals 125, it's going to be very easy to isolate a variable. We can isolate the C by subtracting T on both sides, or we can isolate T by subtracting C on both sides. It doesn't matter which one. Graphing is possible, but I don't really want to graph it just because the numbers are so large. So I know I would need a very big graph in order to graph this. So substitution, I think, is going to be the preferred method here. So let's start off with C plus T equals 125, and we will subtract, let's just subtract T on both sides. It doesn't matter if we solve for C or T. I'm going to solve for C just because. So it's 125 minus T, or negative T plus 125 if you like. So now we know what C can be substituted with, 125 minus T. So now I'm going to take that second equation, the one with all the decimals in it, and I'm going to replace the C with 125 minus T. Okay, so here we go. We've got 104.95 times C, which is 125 minus T, okay, plus 1895 T equals 6,926.75. So before I start doing my math, I just want to verify and make sure that the equation I've come up with has only one variable in it. And it does. This equation only has the variable t in it. So when I'm finished, this is going to tell me t, which was the number of speakers sold. The other one, C, we'll go ahead and label it while we're thinking about it, was the number of stereo systems sold. Okay, there we go. So this equation is going to tell us number of speakers sold. So let's go ahead and solve it. So we do 104.95 times 125. So I'm going to need a calculator to do that. So let me get my calculator here. I'm going to do 104.95 times 125. Oops, not 425. Sorry, a little typo here. 104.95 times 125 gives me, holy moly, 13,118.75. And then 104.95 times t, of course, is going to be 104.95t. So there's the distributor property. Just copy the rest of it out like it is. And now we've got some like terms that we can combine. We can combine our t's here. And I'm going to go back to the calculator again for that. So it's negative 104.95 plus 18.95, which is going to give us just 86. So 13,118.75 minus 86t equals 6926.75. Okay, so I've done all of the distributive property and combining. Now it's time to get the variable isolated. Looks like we need to subtract. So we'll use the subtraction property of equality to do that. Okay, so on this side, we're going to have negative 86t. And on my calculator, I'm going to do 6926.75 minus $13,118.75, which is, of course, as anyone knows, negative 6,192. So that's the subtraction property of equality. And then finally, we will do the division property of equality. And we get t equals, let's do negative 6192 divided by negative 86. Negative divided by negative is a positive, and that gives us 72. So that was a lot of work with some nasty numbers, but now we know what T is. T is the number of speakers sold. Now we need to find the number of stereo systems sold. This is going to be much easier for us to find because we have an equation already set up to tell us the value of C. It's 125 minus T, and we know that T is 72. So all we have to do is 125 minus 72. And might as well go ahead and use the calculator here just to be sure, even though that's a pretty simple subtraction problem. Might as well use the calculator. Don't want to make a mistake on the last step because I was too proud to use a calculator. So C is 53. So what does this mean? It means we sold, is it we? A music store? The store sold 53 stereo systems and 72 speakers. And that's our answer. And this sort of problem is a very classic use of systems of equations, is for it to tell us you sold this many things altogether, and this is how much money you made off the things. How many of each thing did you sell? In this case, it's speakers and stereo systems, but the format of this problem is an extremely common one, where you get an amount of money and a total amount of stuff and are told to figure out how many of each thing. Extremely common problem that you will for sure see a lot of when you're solving systems of equations. So it's good to know how to handle a problem like this.